Yesterday's class, we had gone through the three different conventions for the time complexity, which are part of the asymptotic notations. The first one is big O notation, second omega notation, and third is, which one is the third one? Can you remember? Theta notation. Theta notation. Right? The big O notation indicates the worst case scenario. Omega notation indicates the best case scenario, and the theta notation indicates the average case scenario. Among these three different time computations, we will look into the worst case scenarios because we want to understand what is the maximum time a particular algorithm can take, okay, in order to solve a given problem for a particular value of a n, and that n value should be a worst case value, right? So that the algorithm can work maximum time and produce the particular solution. And also we have looked into calculating the how a space matters with respect to a constants and the variables, how to analyze the in a particular algorithm what are different variables and how we can categorize the constants. In today's class, we will again go into look into a couple of more examples. The first one is write an algorithm to find sum of n array elements, calculate space and time complexity. I think we have not written the algorithm for this in the previous classes. So here quickly we will just write the algorithm first, that to find the sum of n array elements. Okay, and then we will try to calculate the space complexity and the time complexity. Okay, pay attention and see the algorithm first, and then you can write it, take a snapshot, and then later you can write on a fair book. So the algorithm clause we need to use first, and since I'm going to calculate the sum of array elements, I will name the algorithm as and this time let the particular procedure, the sum, takes some parameters. The parameters are, first is the array, okay, and the second one is the number of elements. Two parameters it is taking. Now let us define the procedure here. Now we have already taken the number of elements and the array as a part of parameters. Now we no need to read those values. Directly we can start writing the statements which will compute the sum of all the elements in the array. Okay. Now initially we will take one particular variable, let's say yes here, okay, and let initialize this yes with 0 so that the sum is initially 0. Later we will run through a particular for loop, say for initial value will be what? The first index value, that is I equals to 0, and we have to repeat it through how many times? Up to the last element, that is last indexed element. The last indexed element is n minus 1. Okay, and then step by 1 here and do. I am purposely writing the step in this particular algorithm because we need to understand the constants which are involved in this particular algorithm. So by default, if I don't write the step, it will increment by but 1, but I'm including the 1 here in order to just understand the number of constants which are there in the algorithm. Okay, then next what we need to do, we need to sum up every element and store it in the variable s. So s is going to be, s is equals to s plus the array element of the indexed value I. Once the for loop gets completed from the 0th index to the last index, the variable s will now store the sum of all those elements, and then later we can just write that particular sum value. So we can say write yes. Isn't it a simple algorithm which you have definitely come across in some of the programming, C programming or a Java programming? Are there any difficulties in understanding this algorithm? If there are, please ask me, I will explain it. Is it understood, the algorithm?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the next step is that we need to find out the number of, that is frequencies and total steps, right? We know how to calculate the frequencies and the total steps. So on the adjacent to the algorithm, let me write the couple of columns, frequency and total steps. Okay, now based upon our understanding which we had done in the previous class. Can anyone tell me what is the frequency of this particular line?
1.
It is 1 because this statement gets executed only once. Fine. Then what about this for loop? The statement related to the for, how many times this statement will be executed? Frequency.
N plus 1.
N plus 1. Okay. Any other answers? Do you agree with N plus 1? How we can judge, or how we can find out this value? It is pretty simple. Okay. Now, since it is a loop, means this particular loop will be executed for two different set of values. One is when the condition is true and other is when condition is false. We know that when the condition is false, means the condition will be executed only for one time. That is something a plus 1 here. And we need to judge what value we can give it before the plus. Okay. Now, how many times this particular for loop will be executed for the true value? For the true value. True value means there will be a, if you just try to visualize this as a C code or a Java code, it will look like for I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Right. So I less than n means from 0 to n minus 1 it will execute. That is total n number of times. So it is going to be total n plus 1 times. The frequency is going to be n plus 1 times. Okay. What about the below statement, which is just below the for loop? How many times this statement will be executed? What is the frequency of this?
N.
N times, because this is the statement gets executed only when the condition is a true. So it is n time. What about the last statement? Right? Yes.
1.
One time. It executes only one time because it is a independent statement. It doesn't depend upon the instance characteristics, that is n here. Okay. Now frequency we have jotted it out. Now we need to find out the big O notation for these things. That is, since it is a constant, constant means it is big O of 1. It is big O of 1. What about the second step here? For this, what shall I write as a big O notation?
N.
Big O of n.
Big O of n. How we derived big O of n? See, big O of n means what? It is a linear function. It is a linear function. Linear function means the power of the instance characteristics we need to look upon. If you look into this frequency, we have n plus 1. So the instance characteristics in this is n. So power of n is, since there is nothing, that means the power of n is 1. 1 means it is a linear. So big O of n, or in terms we can call it to be a linear function. Similarly, the next statement, that is a frequency n, this also we can write it as a big O of n itself. And for the last one, it is going to be big O of again 1, which is a constant. Which is a constant. Okay. Now let us try to summarize and write the calculate the time complexity. So time complexity. Now time complexity here I can write T of sum equals to, okay. Now there is a different ways. Yesterday I've shown you one particular method, directly just writing a big O of n over there. But let us, in this example, let us see the other way how we can write. Okay. Now time complexity T of sum is equals to, first what we will do, we will try to add all the frequencies together, right? Means first, if you look into the first statement, under the frequency column, we have a 1. So write it as 1. Then plus. Then we have a n plus 1. So write it as an n plus 1. Then we have a n, right? N. That is plus n. Then the last one is plus 1. All these 4 frequencies, we are just going to add it in order to find the time complexity. Okay. Now try to calculate the sum here. So we will get how much? There are 2 n's. So it is going to be 2n plus how many numbers, constants are there? 1, 2, 3. that is 3. Okay, so 2n plus 3 is the time complexity of this particular algorithm. And if we want to represent in a big O notation, it is going to be big O of n. Big O of n. Is this calculation understood, students? How we wrote these two steps especially?
Yes.
If there are any confusions, please ask.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we just need to calculate the sum of all the individual frequencies and put it together. So this is the time complexity. Okay, and then big O notation with respect to the functions, if you want to write, then it is going to be a linear function. Okay, now comes the other interesting part, now the calculating the space complexity. Now I just want the answer from your side. Okay, let us see how much you understand the algorithm and the number of variables involved in that and the constants involved in that. Okay, now how many variables we have, how many constants we have, we will look into it. First, try to find out the variables. If you look carefully in this algorithm, we have the variable which is a type of an array, right? So we have the separate value. Array in the sense, the size of this particular array is depending upon total number of elements in the array. The total memory size of the array is directly depending upon the number of element what it stores. That is the value n. Okay, then apart from that, what else we have? We have an variable I, we have an variable s, and we do have certain constants. Okay, now first let us write down the variables here. Let me write it as integer variables. Okay, we have n, then we have s, then we have I. Okay, now apart from that, are there any other variables, integer variables, apart from n, s, and I?
No, sir.
No, right? So integer variables n, s, I each requires 2 bytes of memory. 2 bytes of memory. That is, so total we can say it is going to be 3 into 2 bytes, that will give us total of 6 bytes of memory. Isn't it? Then the next is the array. Then how can we calculate the space for this array? It is not independent. It is depending upon the value of a n. Then how can we calculate the space complexity for this just array? It goes in this way. Integer array by the name A, okay, depends on value of n, right? Element requires, now in this particular array, each element requires how many bytes of memory?
2 bytes.
2 bytes. It requires 2 bytes of memory. That means if there are n elements, then total size will be what? N into 2 bytes. N into 2 bytes. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then I can write it as 2n bytes. Okay, now tell me how many constants are here in this particular algorithm?
2.
2 constants. Okay, so what is the data type? Integer. So let me write it as integer constants. Now the answer one, I got it as a 2. What about others? What do you think? Now, in order to find the constants, you need to visualize this particular code with respect to a particular programming language, C or Java, which you are familiar with. Now, here First code is what? An assignment operator. Assignment operator means this 0 is treated as a constant or not? This particular 0 is treated as a constant or not?
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
Assignment operator, the constants are not treated as these numbers are not treated as the constant values, right? Then here also we have an assignment, so we can ignore this. Apart from this, we will come across in this line these two places. Now tell me, do you really think that this -1 and this 1 are the constants? Do you really think that the -1 and this 1 both are constants or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now let me explain here how it is not. Both are not constants here. Okay. Now pay attention here in this particular line. Now let me try to write first here the equivalent statement of the for loop. For I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. I plus plus means I is equals to I plus 1. Okay. Now what this particular operation is? Assignment operation, right? Assignment operation means the right hand side, the value, it is not a constant, rather it is this value is getting updated into the variable I, but this variable I already we have considered here for the space complexity. Next comes our relational operator. In the relational operator, now look into the LHS and RHS, both the operands. Left hand side, that is operand 1, it is a variable which is already considered. Right hand side is again a variable here. Look at here, it is just n. It is just n. This is also a variable which is already considered as part of the space complexity. Right? So we can overrule here that there is no constants involved in this particular relational operation. Next, we have the one statement which involves two different operations. First one is addition, then the assignment. Look into the addition first. I plus 1. Now two operands are there. First operand is the I. Second operand is what? It is a constant here. It is a constant. So I plus 1 here. This 1 is treated as a constant. So we have one constant here. And later that value is getting updated with the variable I as part of assignment operation. Then we can ignore that assignment operation value. So total number of constants in this particular algorithm is 1. It is 1. Do you understood how we derived it to be a number of constant as 1, not 2?
Yes, sir.
In the previous example, that is in the previous day when I was explaining, there was a different example together. It was a different example together, and we had come across with the term there, one more constant, right? If you just remember, I think the condition was something n greater than or equal to 1. Here, if the condition is like this, relational operation is like this, left hand side is what? A variable, right hand side is a constant. In such case, we need to treat this also as a constant. But here, if you look into this example, both the operands are variables here. Both the operands are variables which have been already considered as part of calculating space complexity. Okay, so now here, integer constant, we can write integer constant 1 requires 2 bytes of total time complexity. Like I can write it as space complexity S of sum equals to 6 bytes plus 2 bytes plus 2n bytes. 2n bytes. So total it will be what? How much total? 2n times plus 8 bytes. Sorry, 8 bytes. Is this derivation understood? How we derived the space as 2n plus 8 bytes? Any confusions, students, here?
No, sir.
Okay. Now, once we derive at this space, we need to write one more statement like the total space complexity depends on instant characteristic n. Instant characteristic n. N is equals to 5, then S of sum will be 2 into 5, that is 10, or you can write it as a splitter. 2 into 5 plus 8, which is in turn we can say 18 bytes as one example. And the n is 5, total number of space required is going to be 18 bytes. If there are any confusions or any doubts, okay, please do ask.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, have you calculated the S of sum?
Which step here? This one?
Yes, sir. Yes.
This is like now space complexity we started. So we were looking into the different elements in the algorithm. So different elements could be what? Variables and constants. Okay. So the variables we have n, s, and I, right, in the algorithm. So each of these three variables are of the integer data types, and each of the integer elements or the variables requires 2 bytes of a memory. So 3 into 2, so total 6 bytes are required for these three variables. Then we have an integer array. Right? Since it is an array, total number of elements or the memory, it depends upon the number of elements which it stores. But each element requires 2 bytes of memory. So general form, we can say that the array A requires 2n bytes, where n is number of elements which this particular array can store. Right? Then we looked into the number of constant, and we figured out that there are only one constant in the algorithm, and that particular constant is a 1. So the data type of this one is an integer, so which requires 2 bytes of a memory. So total it is going to be sum of all these three terms, that is 6 bytes, 2n bytes, and then 2 bytes. So 6 plus 2 bytes plus 2n bytes. So if you add it together, we get 2n times plus 8 bytes as the total number of bytes. Okay, for an example, suppose if the n value, that is the instance characteristic n value, is a 5, then the space will be what? 2 into 5, that is a 10. 10 plus 8, 18. So 18 bytes will be the total number of space required if array contains 5 elements. Any
Yes, sir.
doubts? Any doubts?
No, sir. Thank you.
So if you get a question in the exam, write an algorithm to find whatever that particular algorithm problem is for, and then calculate the space and the time complexity. Okay, you need to first write the algorithm, and on the adjacent to the algorithm, you can just write the 2 columns, the frequency and the total steps, derive these numbers or the values over there, and then calculate the time complexity and then space complexity. If particular algorithm involves the instance characteristics for the space complexity, then we need to provide an example like this in order to get full marks. Okay. Now let us look into the another example. Write an algorithm to find largest element, okay, in an array and calculate the space and time complexity. Okay. Now let us say algorithm. Okay. Now this time I will take a particular procedure as a largest, and let us not have any parameters. No parameters means not even writing the empty parenthesis. Means we are going to read the values from the procedure itself. Okay, now we again require an array here. So we need to read the array and also the number of elements which it can store. So I can write two statements, read n, then read array elements. Read n and then read array elements. Okay, then next we need to, can you tell me the algorithm how we need to find the largest of array elements? Largest of an array element in a given array? The simplest one would be what? We will first assume that the first element in the array is largest. So we need a variable L. Let this L be equals to the first element. So first element is what? A of 0. A of 0. Right? We will assume that the first, that is 0th indexed element, is the largest. Now we need to prove that our assumption is correct or our assumption is wrong. How can we do that? We need to repeat through the next elements and check whether this A of 0 or this particular L is still largest or not. If it violates, if your assumption becomes wrong, then we need to accordingly change the largest values. Say for I equals to, now since we have already taken the 0th index element, the next element we should start from the index value 1. So for I equals to 1 up to what? The last indexed element, that is n minus 1. Step increment by 1. So step by 1 and then do. What we need to do? We need to check whether that if the element, that is A of I, if it is greater than the largest element, that is L, then our assumption will be definitely wrong, and then we need to re-update our largest value. So the largest value will become L is equals to A of I. L is equals to A of I. Okay, and then at the end we can just, once suppose if this particular for loop will repeat for 1 to last element, we will get the largest element which is stored in the variable L. So here we can just simply write the largest element L here. Okay, see, this algorithm you have already studied in your data structure subject in the second semester. Do you remember it?
Yes, sir.
Right,
Yes,
even
sir.
for the for A division students, we had a simple exercise on this one, right? Activity, student activity, where students came on the podium and then they just try to on the stage and try to interact. Right, now here we will first try to calculate the frequencies and then the step counts, and see, and then step count, or we can say total steps. Tell me, be quick, how many times this particular statement will be executed? Read
One.
n, one time.
One time.
Reading the array elements?
One.
One time.
Next statement, L is equals to A of
n
0.
plus 1.
L is equals to A of 0.
One.
This is again one time, right? It is going to be executed for only one time. Now, what about next statement? It is interesting here. How many times this particular for loop will be executed?
N times.
N times?
Yes, sir.
How?
Sir,
How it
I
will
is starting with 1.
I is starting with 1, exactly. Since I is starting with 1, so total number of true values will be n minus 1. See, total number of true values will be n minus 1, and then plus 1 times for the false value. For true value, it will evaluate for n minus 1 times, and false value it will evaluate for 1 time. So total n minus 1 plus 1 means it is going to be n times. What about this particular step? This if condition, how many times this if condition will be evaluated, executed? If you understand the flow of for loop, whenever the for loop is true, then only it will enter into the its statements. Now tell me how many times this for loop is true?
N.
The for loop will be true for how many times? See, it indicates that you are not revising at home, students. You are not
N
at all
plus
revising at home. When you said n here, I just explained you, just now I explained you this n how we derived. This n is nothing but true, the number of frequency for the true and number of frequency for the false. True it is what? How many times it will be executed? N minus 1 times, and false it will be executed for 1 time, right? So total it is going to be n minus 1 plus 1, that is n. In this n, the condition remains true for n minus 1. The same number of time the statements which are under the for loop will be executed. Means these statements will be executed for how many times? N minus 1 times. It will be executed for n minus 1 times. If you just see the examples which I had taken in the couple of classes before, right? Some examples I had given you there. If the for loop has n plus 1, then below statements will be executed for n times. Here the for loop executes for n times, means 1 less than that its statements will be executed. Following, understanding the
Yes, sir.
concept? Okay, now how about this particular statement? How many times this particular statement will be executed?
One.
1 time.
1 times. Okay. Now let us see here. For example, there are 5 elements, say 1, 2, let me take other numbers, otherwise it will confuse you. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. There are 5 elements. Okay, now assume that we have assumed the L to be what? The first element, that is 5. Now we have to repeat from what? We need to compare this element with this element. Then we need to compare this element with the next element. Like that it will execute for true value as a 4 and 1 is the false value. So total 5 number. So that's why we got n here, and the true value is 1 less than that. Okay, now assume that what will happen first time? It will enter into the for loop. Then if a of I is greater than L. Now a of I means what? I value is 1, that is the next index value. This index value, is this greater than the L, that is 5? Is 10 greater than 5?
Yes, sir.
Yes, condition is true. Condition is true means this statement will get executed.
Yes, sir.
See, you guys, you need to explain it in detail every steps. Now n is 5. Now initial value of L, okay, initial value of L is a of 0. A of 0 is 5. Okay, and then we have a for loop, right? So for loop, initially it starts from I equals to 1, and the condition will be I less than n, and then we have I plus plus, right? So before this I plus plus, we have the if condition, that is a of I less than, sorry, a of I greater than L. If this is true, then the L is equals to a of I will be executed. Otherwise, it will be skipped. Then we have I plus plus. Now understand here. This statement will be executed once. Then this will be executed once. Then this is the statement which gets executed once. And this I less than n time. I less than n. If this condition is true, then only it will skip on to the next statements. Now, if this condition is true, then only it will execute this statement. Otherwise, it will skip. Now, initial value of n is 5. So, L value is also 5 now. I equals to 1. That is, I value is 1. 1 less than 5. Is condition true? Yes, condition is true. Then A of I greater than L. So A of I is what here? A of 1. A of 1 is how much? What is A of 1 in this array? 10. 10 greater than L. What is L value?
5.
5.
Is this condition true or false?
True.
True. True means it has to execute this particular statement. So this statement will be executed, right? It will be executed. Let me write it as E here. It is going to be executed. And the L value will become what? A of I. That is A of 1. That is 10. Now this L, next time this L is going to be 10 and I plus plus means I will become 2. Then again this condition, that is 2 less than 5, it is true. Then again this condition, A of 2 is what? 15. 15 greater than, is it 5 or 10?
10.
10.
10.
Still true. Since condition is true, this condition is true, what will happen? This statement also gets executed. This statement also gets executed. Now, the point of understanding here is that what you said was, okay, your assumption was this particular statement gets executed only one time, right? It is not only one time. It may be one time, but it again depends upon the instance characteristics. It again depends upon the instance characteristics. Okay, how exactly? Now, suppose if the array is like this, wherein the last element is the largest element, then this statement will be executed for 5 times. Now, suppose if the first element itself is the largest element, then what will happen? This particular if condition will be evaluated every time, but it will result in a false value. False value means this statement will never get executed. So the execution of such lines which are under the if conditional statements, it depends upon the instance characteristics. In a worst case, since we are talking about the big O notations means the worst cases. So worst cases, how many times this if condition is executed? Those many times these statement will be executed in an worst case scenarios. So we can consider it to be n minus 1 times. Okay. Now suppose if you in some of the algorithm textbooks, they will mention it to be a n minus 1 times, or they will just say that they will need not mention any of the values there. They will keep it as a dash there. Okay, I will repeat once again. In some of the textbooks, as some of the theoretical concepts, they say that since we are going to calculate the big O notations, that is the worst case scenarios. Worst case scenarios means we need to find out the worst instance characteristics. So worst instance characteristics would be n value. So it is going to be executed for n minus 1 times. But in some theoretical concept, they say that, okay, it is depending upon the value of the instance characteristics. So here we will need not to calculate any frequencies. We can keep it as an hyphen or just a dash there. We need not to measure that one. But as an ideal conditions, since we are concentrating on the big O notations, we need to consider it as an n minus 1. It as an n minus 1 times. And then the last statement, that is right output operation, will be executed for only one time because it is a constant. Understood, students?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us try to write the big O functions for each of these frequencies. This is big O of 1 constant. This is big O of 1. Then again big O of 1. This is what? Big O of
N.
n. How about this one? Big O of
N.
n. And this also big O of n. The last one is again big O of 1. Big O of 1. So total time complexity. Time complexity. Okay. Now T of largest equals to how much, students? How can I write here? I need to add all the frequencies here. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus n minus 1 plus n minus 1. So I think I missed one n here. And at the end plus 1. Did I cover all the numbers here? 3 ones, then n minus 1, n minus 1, and then 1. So if you sum it together, what is the final value? Can someone quickly calculate? 3n plus 2. 3n plus 2 is the time complexity. And in terms of the big O notation, it is going to be again big O of n, a linear function. Then the next is space complexity. Okay. Now we have solved enough exercises. Can you tell me total number of variables, total number of constants in this example, in this algorithm? How many integer variables are there? What are those?
N, L, I.
Array we need to consider it separately because it depends upon the n value. So individual, the simple variables n, then L, then I. Are there only 3 or are there any more? Each requires 2 bytes of memory. So that is total. It is going to be what?
6 bytes.
6 bytes. It is going to be 6 bytes. Then we have an integer array. Okay, integer array by the name A. Let me write it as like this, array notation. Now, what is that space for this? Total space depends on
N into 2.
n, that is depends on number of elements. N, number of elements n. So total size is going to be 2n bytes. It is going to be 2n bytes. Then number of constants, and all the constants are integer here. So can you quickly tell me how many constants are there? Integer
1.
constants. How many
1,
constants? Only 1. Now look into this. This is an assignment. Anyway, both are the variables there. Then we have again assignment. Then the condition here will be what? I less than 1. Sorry, I less than n. So both are variables. Then I plus plus, that is I equal to I plus 1. So we have one constant here. Then next again, all are involving the variables. So there is only one constant, which requires requires 2 bytes of memory. So total 2 bytes. space complexity S of largest equals to how much?
8b plus 2n.
Yes, 6 bytes plus 2n plus 2 bytes. So total it is going to be 2n plus 8 bytes. 2n plus 8 bytes. You can write as an example, if n equals to 5, then S of largest is equals to 2 into 5 plus 8, which is in turn equals to 18 bytes. Understood? Any doubts? Any clarifications you need?
No, sir.
Okay, now quickly take down the screenshots of these so that you can write it in a note in your Fairbook. Here you can first part of that third assignment. Shall I scroll down?
Yes, sir.
So take the remaining part of the third assignment. Remaining part of third assignment till here. Is that done? Shall I scroll it down further?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Fourth assignment. You can just take the till time complexity, and the other one you can take the space complexity later. Taken? I will scroll it down further now. Space complexity. Students, do practice at home. Okay, do practice at home, then only you will learn the concepts better. Otherwise, the things will be, as I said in the very first class, you may understand the concepts during the class, but later, after a week or so, you will not get any of the concepts. You may forget it until and unless if you are practicing daily, you are revising daily, then this DA will be very easy for you. Otherwise, it will be very difficult. All good? Any questions? Any doubts?
No, sir.
Fine.